Wasatch Elementary was the site of the visits I made for our linguistics class. The purpose of the visits was to observe and assess students as they come to an understanding of the English language. Wasatch Elementary is at 30 R Street in the Lower Avenues district of Salt Lake City, just below the University of Utah. It is a very nice area during the fall when the autumn leaves are turning colors. The student body consists of children from many different races. The majority are predominantly of European descent. I made the observations on 5 consecutive Mondays, October 20th and 27th, and November 3rd, 10th, and 17th. The principal and teachers at Wasatch were very nice and accommodating. I met the principal, Miss Deb Andrews, in advance to get permission for the observation. She suggested that I make observations of different teachers and compare the techniques of each. Previously, she announced in a faculty meeting that I would be in the building during the observations. I did 2 observations in Miss Rebecca Hunter's 6th grade class, 1 in Miss Janice Farrell's 4th grade class, 1 in Mr. Paul Gandy's 1st grade class, and 2 in Julie Yeager's kindergarten class. All teachers taught well during the observations when the students were very cooperative. From a linguist's perspective, I think the youngest students have the most to learn. So I will tell you about Julie Yeager's kindergarten class and then Mr. Gandy's 1st grade class. In Mrs. Yeager's kindergarten class, the day began by taking the roll, doing the calendars, the weather, and the Pledge of Allegiance. She is a bright lady, about 5 feet 7 inches tall. She is trim, about 60 years old, and very quick. She used her quickness to command the attention of her young students. As she gathered the students to their spots on the carpet, she got their attention with a couple of chants and then started off on the phoneme lesson. The first phonemes were words beginning with the letter L. Mrs. Yeager started by reading the word let, which begins with the letter L. The approach she used was from the technique called minimal pairs. As a group, the students recited the words after her. This way they learned from each other. It was the first time many of the students had seen the letter L. Some of the students said the word L using a W sound or wet, as in let's go outside and play. Next, she said lad. The students repeated lad. Then she said mad, and the students said mad. The approach she used was from the technique called minimal pairs. Some of the words had double letters, like mess, M-E-S-S, or better, better, B-E-T-T-E-R. After this, she moved to popcorn words. These were commonly used words shown on flashcards. She went through the stack as the students repeated the words she showed. Next, she had the students return to their seats. She passed out a cut and paste, and here is the cut and paste that she used. Along the top row are pictures of a leaf, a scarecrow, a pumpkin, and a turkey. The 16 cutouts had 4 words that began with an L, 4 that began with a double consonant, SC, SN, SU, or SP, 4 that began with a P, 4 that began with a T. The students had some trouble with scarecrow saying scarecrow, or snake saying snake. They also had trouble saying ladybug saying wadybug. In Mr. Gandy's first grade class, the students had Mrs. Farrell's 4th grade class come down from upstairs and help in a program called Reading Buddies. This consisted of 1st graders pairing up with 4th graders on a 1-to-1 basis. The pairs could go anywhere in the room and read to each other from library books. The older students could correct errors that the younger readers made, especially those made in syntax, morphology, semantics, and pragmatics. Younger children might be less inclined than 4th graders who had progressed to the point of deviation to use colloquialisms such as ain't for isn't and gonna for going to. As the students began reading, the older students started making corrections in pronunciation. Many of the students had not yet mastered all of the phonemes, and many still had their front teeth missing. As the students got older and language abilities progressed, students seemed to make different types of errors. By the 4th grade, in Miss Janice Farrell's class, there were more errors in grammar syntax. Most had gained some mastery of phonology. The introductory lesson was a daily oral language correction sheet. The students worked on the correction sheet. It consisted of verb tenses, prescriptive grammar, spelling and capitalization, and subject-verb agreement. The next language arts lesson was reading from A Little House on the Prairie. The students read this with partners. One of the lessons was fact and opinion. Next, she passed out the Scholastic Reader book buying order form. Mrs. Farrell didn't overstress buying books, but left it up to the students to decide if they wanted to purchase books or not. Miss Hunter is tall and athletic. Her age is about, I would say, 35 to 40 years old. She has a commanding presence and understands her 6th grade class very well. The class entered after lunch. Miss Hunter went to the head of the class and began correcting the morning geo skills assignment, saying, "Finding your way around the UK." The map used the compass headings of north, east, west, and south. The students had to measure the distance and the compass headings from town to town. There was a lot of semantic definition and meaning of words in this lesson. They had to learn compass headings, the lines of longitude and latitude, and other terms that are used in geography.